they were never going to cast a white woman to play Black Canary. Hello everyone, this is Gene from NYC again, and I'm back with another video. So first of all, thank you for viewing my videos and for being part of the channel. Whether this is your first video or your 100th video, whether you are a new subscriber or whether you've been subscribed even before I started making videos, thank you so much for your views, your comments, your opinions. Thank you for all the interaction. I hope that you continue to enjoy the content. So today's video is going to be about Birds of Prey. Right? I've been seeing people making videos about the Birds of Prey film, in particular about the casting, especially in the light of the Little Mermaid controversy. If you're not familiar with that, I did a video on it, but I'll summarize it as for the live-action Little Mermaid film that Disney's working on. Disney casted a singer and actress, Halle, I forget her, I don't know how to say her first name, Halle Bailey, to play Ariel. If you're familiar with The Little Mermaid, you know that Ariel is not a brown-skinned character, right? She's pale, she's has pale skin, she's Caucasian looking. And casting this young African-American singer as this traditionally, for quote-unquote, white character has caused quite a kerfluffle, as the phrase goes, on the internet. And something similar has happened here with the Birds of Prey casting. Difference is that mainstream media, or rather I guess main channels that cover this type of thing, are a bit late on this. See, I heard about the Birds of Prey cast and the film probably back in February, because I follow a lot of comics channels. I think it was actually in I Love Comics video that I was watching where I first found out about this film. So I've known about the casting for a bit. I just unfortunately never got around to making a video. But now it seems to be back in the news again, and a lot of people are making videos and giving their opinions about the Birds of Prey casting. And I figured I would jump in, but with a slightly different approach, I guess you could say, because I personally have no interest in the film itself. I don't really watch movies much anymore. I don't really have an interest in the DCEU. I never saw Suicide Squad. Don't care to. I don't much care for Margot Robbie. You know, she looks like Harley Quinn. That's fine. But again, I'm not a big moviegoer, especially with the current state that movies are in. And comic book movies in general have just never really interested me, with the exception probably of the 1989 Batman, but that was a lifetime ago. So, excuse me. It's not that I'm interested necessarily in the film. The moment I saw that Cassie Cain, who is one of my favorite DC heroines, even if she is just the DC equivalent of X-23 from Marvel, but that's a story for another day. But the moment I saw her in the film teaser, and I saw that she had basically just been cast as basically DC's version of Jubilee from the X-Men, I noped out. I said, nope, I'm not going to watch this film. I really like Cassie Cain as a character. You've just lost me. So again, it's not that I personally have any interest in the film. What I have noticed, I guess noticed more, especially in light of the Little Mermaid controversy, is how, in my opinion, creatively bankrupt DC and Warner Brothers, in this case, are with the casting for this film, because I am of the opinion, and I will explain it. I'm not just going to state something and then not give proof or not explain what I mean. But I believe that they were never, ever, ever, ever going to cast a white woman for the role of Black Canary. I don't think they were ever going to do that. Now you may say, well, Gene, why do you think that? Well, here is why I think that. Let's look at this objectively, right? Here's what I'm going to do with this video. I'm going to look at the main hero team, right? I'm going to go over the casting of each member, again, of the hero team, of the Birds of Prey. And we're going to see a pattern, right? We are going to see a pattern, and then we are going to see that pattern broken with the casting of Black Canary. So let's start at the top, right? This film ultimately is a vehicle for the Harley Quinn character and for Margot Robbie. So we're going to start there. Harley Quinn, right? Harley Quinn in the comics is a white female. Margot Robbie is a white female. She's already been playing Quinn. She's back as Quinn. So, right, simple, established. Margot Robbie, a white woman, is playing Harley Quinn, a white female. Now, we look at the short list for the remaining 4 characters. Right, so I'm going to start with Huntress, right? Huntress is a white female. So let's look at who was on the short list to play Huntress. The actresses that were on, and I'm drawing this from Wikipedia for those who may not know. The actresses who were on the short list to play Huntress were Sophia Boutella, Margaret Qualley, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Kristen Milioti. They were the ones being considered to play Huntress. Ultimately, Mary Elizabeth Winstead would win out. She would be the one cast for the role, right? So we have white actresses being considered for the role of a white woman. And the actress chosen to play the role of this white woman, the Huntress, is again a white woman. Right? So now we're going to look at the character of Renee Montoya. Renee in the comics is a Hispanic woman. She's a Latina. Now, the actresses who were considered to play her, who were on the short list, who had the best chance to be chosen to portray her in a live-action film, were Justina Machado, Roberta Colindres, and Rosie Perez. Rosie Perez ultimately won out. But as you can see here, 3 Hispanic actresses to play a Latina character, and again, it is a Latina actress who was chosen for the role. Right, so now we move on to the character of Cassandra Cain, who, although technically biracial, we'll just say, just to keep it simple, is Asian. Right? Now, the Wikipedia article doesn't state how many actresses were in the short list. It just says that Warner Brothers started seeking a 12-year-old Asian actress to play Cassandra Cain. And ultimately, the actress that was chosen is Ella J. Basco, or Bosco. I'm not quite sure how you say the last name. If her last name sounds familiar to you, it's because she's the niece and goddaughter of Dante Basco, who's most famous for voicing the character of Prince Zuko from the Avatar: The Last Airbender series. So we have, again, we don't know how many young teen actresses, young Asian teen actresses were considered for the role, but we do know that, yes, in the end, they chose a Asian teen actress, right, to play the role of Cassandra Cain, who is Asian. So far for 4 of the 5 characters that we have discussed, right? Harley Quinn, Renee Montoya, Cassandra Cain, the Huntress, right? Helena Bertinelli. The casting has matched, right? White woman for white woman, Latina woman for the Latina woman, Asian girl for the young Asian female character. It has been consistent. Here is where that consistency falls in a hole and dies, with the casting of Black Canary. Here were the actresses that were on the short list to play Black Canary. Now, just to be brief, Black Canary in the main continuity, which is where, to my understanding, they are drawing all these characters and all the comic inspiration from, is a white woman. She's always been white in main continuity. There are perhaps other versions of her in other continuities and other versions of Earth, Earth 2, Earth 3, Earth 45, whatever it is. DC, like Marvel, has way too many alternate universes and alternate realities, but if we're talking about main continuity, which to my knowledge we are, Black Canary is a white woman. Here were the actresses who were on the short list to play a white woman. Janelle Monáe, Juju or Gugu, I am sorry, I know I'm butchering her name, Batha Raw, and Journey Smollett-Bell. All of these actresses, for lack of a better term, are black. These are black actresses who were on the short list to play a white character. The casting was consistent for every other character on the Birds of Prey, on the hero team, as I established, right? White for white, Latina for Latina, Asian for Asian. But now when it comes to Black Canary, three black actresses were on the short list to play a white biker chick. And I love Canary. I love her. But that is her visual aesthetic. White 80s biker chick. 3 black women were on the short list, had the best chance of being cast in this role. This to me is being creatively bankrupt. There is no reason to arbitrarily change Black Canary's race for this film. And I am of the opinion, again, looking at the casting and how it was consistent up until the character of Canary, I believe that they did this not for minority representation, because they already have minority representation, right? If you go with the ethnicity of the characters as they are traditionally known, you would have 3 white women, right? You would have Canary, Huntress, Harley Quinn, 3 white women, and then you have 2 people who are not white, Montoya and Cassie Cain. That means that 40% of your team is non-white. So it cannot be a minority representation issue. This, in my opinion, is because they wanted a black woman on the team. I don't think they would have moved forward with this film without having a black female member of the Birds of Prey. Which, okay, fine, I can understand that. They want a black woman in here. I can understand that. Here's the question I ask. Why didn't they look at Why didn't they look at DC Comics and choose a black female superhero to put on the Birds of Prey? Why again is this company race flipping a character instead of actually drawing from the source material and bringing on a black character? I can tell you right off the top of my head 3 characters they could have brought on to this superhero team. They could have brought on Vixen, right? Vixen was featured in the Justice League cartoon. She's been a long-time character in the comics, I think since the early 80s. And with Vixen, there actually is a connection to Africa. She is native to Africa. Her powers are native to Africa. Her powers come from, if I remember correctly, an amulet made by Anansi the spider or something to that effect. But she has a cultural connection to Africa. Right? Why not bring in Vixen? Vixen has interesting superpowers. So long as she wears this necklace, she can take on the physical abilities of any animal. So she can run as fast as a cheetah, theoretically speaking. She can be as strong as an elephant, right? Theoretically speaking. She can take on whatever physical traits that any animal has. That's a very interesting ability. That again goes back to her African heritage. Yet she's not on this team. She's not part of the hero team. Why? They could also introduce Nubia, who is quite literally Wonder Woman's sister. She is quite literally the Black Wonder Woman. Yet they say nothing about her. You have the Wonder Woman movie coming out in a year or two, yet you don't want to introduce her own sister, who is literally the race-swapped version of her that, again, nobody has an issue with. I've never heard anybody complain about Nubia, unless to ask, when is Nubia coming back? When is Nubia's next story going to come out? When is she going to get her own solo series? I've heard those questions. I haven't heard anybody, be opposed to the character of Nubia. Why not introduce her? Or how about this? There's a new Power Girl in town. Tanya Spears. Why not introduce her? Especially since you had Janelle Monáe on the short list already to play Canary. Look at Tanya Spears, the character. Look at Janelle Monáe. They look the same. It would not surprise me one bit if the artist who came up with Tanya's appearance based it on Janelle Monáe. You have an actress who looks just like a DC character that isn't really well known, that you could introduce to a bigger audience by including her in this movie. But do they do that? At least from what I can tell, from what I've read, from what I've seen, they don't do that. They don't think to add on an original African American character who could use some shine, who could use some love, who you could actually present to the greater non-comic world, like Justice League did by having Vixen in the show. Instead, they go the creatively bankrupt route of taking a well-known character, a well-known white character, in this case, Black Canary, who's known in the comics, who's known across cartoons, who's known in live-action TV, and they decide, well, her code name is Black Canary, right? Let's just race swap. We'll just hire a black actress to play the Black Canary. Nobody will notice. Nobody will see it, right? Nobody would say anything about this very obvious change. Again, in my opinion, it is creatively bankrupt, especially when they have at least 3 characters they could draw from. And that's just me citing those characters off the top of my head. I have no doubt that if you did more digging, that you could find more characters. But already, 3. And instead of introducing one of them, either by adding her to the team or just taking Black Canary off the team and having Vixen or Tanya Spears or whomever, replace her, they decide, we'll just race flip. We'll just race flip. Because we don't want to be creative. Because we don't want to go through the trouble of actually having to do work and introduce a new character that is not as well known as Black Canary. And that, to me, just as a consumer and as somebody who does have some appreciation for the arts. I'm no artist myself, but I do like my music and I like comics, and stuff like that. And those are art forms in their own right. To me, it's insulting that they keep doing this and thinking that no one's going to say anything, or that people are somehow going to be blind to this, especially again when they have other characters they could introduce. Or in the case of Disney, where they have other cultures in the world that they haven't tapped into yet that they could draw stories from. In this case, they have characters in DC's long history that they could draw from. All you need to do is just add one. And instead of doing that, they take the easy way out and just race flip Black Canary. Which, aside from just generally being insulting, in my personal opinion, also looking at it from an artistic perspective, making Black Canary African American, and again, I know this is going to come across as a racial thing, but really it's not, because again, it's just like the Little Mermaid thing. It isn't really about race. It comes across as being about race because race is the subject being discussed, but it's not really about race. It's about maintaining consistency and not taking the easy way out. At least from my perspective, it is. Right? Canary's appearance has varied over the years and varies somewhat across mediums. But again, the general elements, her being female, right? Her being white, having blonde hair, having a rocker chick aesthetic, all of that remains the same, right? The clothes may change. She may have a jacket, she may not have a jacket, she may wear a bustier, she may not, she may wear fishnets, she may wear a pair of pants, she may wear a domino mask, she may not. All that changes, right? Those minor cosmetic things change, but the overall visual aesthetic stays the same in most instances. And when you change her skin tone and you make her skin tone brown, you ruin that visual aesthetic. And I want to be clear, it is not about, oh, you can't have a black biker chick. Of course you can. But if you take Black Canary and you change her skin tone, she doesn't look like Black Canary anymore. People would sooner take that as a black woman cosplaying as Black Canary than actually looking at her and going, oh, that's Black Canary. That's Dinah Lance. Most people, especially if they are familiar with comics, are not going to have the second response of actually acknowledging that this brown woman in Black Canary's clothes is indeed Black Canary. Again, I am of the opinion that most comic fans who are familiar with the character would sooner look at it as a cosplay. The whole thing about cosplay is that you look like the character, but you are not the character. Right? So there's that. On top of that, again, Canary, at least to me, has a certain visual aesthetic, right? It's based in the 80s biker chick look, right? She basically looks like Lita Ford in a comic book. And I got no issue with that. That is not said as an insult. I love Lita Ford. I love that look, right? It was the very, feminine but still rock and hard answer to, to a Joan Jett style. And that's fine. Have, again, no problem with it. But again, it is a certain aesthetic that works with a certain type of person. And that person, unfortunately, is not a brown-skinned person, right? Especially when you take into account the blonde hair. If you take a brown-skinned woman, right, you give her bright blonde hair, do you know what people are going to compare her to? Do you know whom people are going to compare her to? She's going to draw comparisons to Beyonce. And there's no problem with that in and of itself. There's no problem with drawing comparisons visually to Beyonce. That's fine. But is Beyonce known for the 80s biker chick aesthetic? No, she's not. People don't look at Beyonce, at least not to my knowledge, people don't look at Beyonce and think of 80s rockin' motorcycles. When you look at Black Canary, you do. You change her skin tone, you lose that aesthetic. And again, most importantly, they have African characters, or I shouldn't say African, because Vixen's the only one to my knowledge who actually is African. But they have black characters already in DC's mythos that they could introduce, that they could develop. And again, instead of just introducing a new character and not having this problem, they decide to facelift the well-known character and then act like this is some sort of victory for diversity, when really it's not. It's false diversity. It is false diversity 101 because it erases, in my opinion, it erases the actual black characters who exist already, because now they never are noticed. Movie makers or whomever don't want to tell their stories. Again, why hasn't Disney made a film about Anansi the spider, or about Mufaru's beautiful daughters? Mufaro's, I should say, beautiful daughters. Why hasn't DC, in 8 films? Why hasn't DC in their film universe introduced characters like Vixen, or Tanya, or Nubia? Why haven't they done that? Why aren't people who are so damn pushy with diversity demanding? Why aren't they theoretically, right, knocking on DC's door and knocking on Warner Brothers' door, demanding that the stories of these characters be told? Why aren't they demanding that Vixen be in the Birds of Prey instead of praising the fact that Black Canary has been race lifted? Why are these people who are so for diversity willing to take a cheap victory and basically take scraps from the table? Oh no, we don't want our own characters and our own stories. Hey, just take a white woman that everybody knows and just paint her brown. We'll be okay with that. Why is that acceptable? Why is that acceptable? Someone explain it to me, because I don't get it. I don't understand why the woke, right, the ones who want to preach to everybody till the cows come home about how you need more diversity in media, don't actually really push for diversity in media. They are content with having a blackwashed character instead of having a legitimate black character who exists separate from anyone else and exists in their own right. And yet it is people like me and others who object to this type of thing who are the ones who are vilified. We are told that we are sexist, racist, this, that, this. No, we're not. Demanding better. Hell, just calling Marvel and DC and Warner Brothers and Disney out on their BS. We're saying, hey, do better. Stop giving us scraps. Stop trying to literally pull the wool over our eyes and give us the actual diversity that you claim to care about so much. As the phrase goes, practice what you preach. You want diversity? You want more non-white heroes in these TV shows and these movies? Fine, cool. Fine. I'm okay with that. Look to the source material, pick out actual non-white heroes and let them tell their stories in these movies, instead of taking a well-known white hero and just painting them brown and then saying that's okay. Because it's not okay. It's insulting. It's insulting to my intelligence. And the sad thing is that you have people who sadly embrace this thing, who think there's some sort of long denied justice, that because there's a history in Hollywood and all types of media of of whitewashing and of whites stealing, black culture or black hairstyles or black music, right? For example, rock and roll and R&B and all this other stuff. But instead of saying, hey, you know what? We're going to do better by creating our own stuff, they go, no. We are going to do to them what was done to us ages ago. Even though rock and roll has long moved forward from its roots in R&B music. But let's do to them what was done to us. That is not justice, right? That is pettiness. And as the saying goes, two wrongs don't make a right. But anyway, I do believe that I have devolved into a rant, and this is already 30 plus minutes long. Oh God, the editing. But anyway, that's the video. To make a long story short, I believe that like DC and Marvel and Disney before them, DC and Warner Brothers have taken the easy way out with the casting of Journey Smollett as Black Canary. And it's got nothing to do with her. Just like the casting of Little Mermaid has nothing to do with Halle Bailey. The casting of Journey Smollett, it isn't about her. Whatever criticism, backlash that is going to erupt, because you know it's coming, it is not about her. And honestly, I feel bad for her because, again, her last name has been in the news for not good reasons thanks to her brother's legal troubles. We'll just put it that way. But, again, this isn't about her. The media is going to say it's about her. The media is going to say, oh, it's a bunch of racists, it's a bunch of white people. It's white Twitter erupting again. No. This isn't about white Twitter. This isn't about white people. This isn't about race. It's about these companies being creatively bankrupt and refusing, in my opinion, refusing to tell authentic black stories and refusing to introduce authentic black characters. Because it's easy, and for some odd reason socially acceptable, to just tan the white person, say that they're black, and say it's okay. Well, I don't embrace this. I don't accept this. And I'm going to call it out where I see it. So there's my thoughts on it. I see you, entertainment industry. You wonder why you don't get my money? This is why you don't get my money. But anyway, that's the video. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.